My mom sent me $2,000 to buy more skincare. I bought a set of La Mer BF. Gideon, curious, asked, "What's this? How much did it cost?" Not noticing his reaction, I replied casually, "La Mer. It cost $2,000. Gideon exploded, ignoring the people around us, and yelled, "You spent $2,000 on skincare? Why can't you use a $10 lotion like me? Do you know how hard it is to earn money? My dad only makes $1,000 a month, so how can you use $2,000 products?" I looked at him oddly. Just because your dad makes $1,000 a month doesn't mean mine does. I'm not spending your money, so why can't I use it? Gideon's face turned red. He opened his mouth to say something, then shut it, forcefully threw my skincare products on the ground, and walked away. We parted ways on bad terms. That night, Gideon kept texting me, but I ignored him. I sat at my desk, staring blankly at a documentary, my mind a jumbled mess. Gideon, a year above me, is tall, handsome, outgoing, and well-liked. We'd been dating for 3 months, and things had been great until this skincare argument. My roommate Gloria kept glancing at me. When I looked back, she hurriedly put away her phone. Her gaze was resentful, like I'd wronged her somehow. Annoyed by her indirectness, I asked, "Do you have something to say?" Gloria shook her head but paced by the window and suddenly pointed outside. "Mona, Gideon is waiting for you downstairs." I looked out the window. It was raining, and Gideon was drenched in a short-sleeved shirt. He saw me, held up a small cake, and waved gently. At that moment, my heart softened. I went downstairs and handed him an umbrella. Gideon put his arm around me and softly apologized. "Baby, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have lost my temper." I remained silent, and he coaxed me for a while, gently explaining, "Sweetheart, I'm not mad at you for spending money. If you bought skincare for a few $100, I wouldn't mind, but $2,000 is excessive. Ask your roommates how much they spend on skincare." I was a bit swayed because my roommate's skincare products were all quite cheap, under $100. Gideon said softly, "I really love you. You're the one I want to spend my life with. That's why I think we should be smart with our money. Your parents work hard for their money. We should understand that." Thinking of my hardworking parents, I was somewhat convinced, but wanted to test him. So I said, "Okay, I'll return the La Mer and use that money to buy you a new computer." Gideon looked pleased, his face showing a "you finally get it" expression. He eagerly responded, "A computer is definitely more useful, right, baby?" At that moment, I saw through the double standards. Spending $2,000 on me was a waste, but spending it on him was smart money management. Isn't that double standards? Gideon continued talking about the computer, but seeing my expression, he wisely chose to drop the subject. When I returned to my dorm, I had just placed the cake on the table when Gloria suddenly lifted the bed curtain and said, "Someone sent me a red envelope." Her eyes had a hint of smugness, like she was flaunting something. I replied dismissively, "Oh, congratulations." I went to the bathroom, saw my roommate's cheap cosmetics on the sink, and felt a pang of discomfort. I decided to call my mom and explain the situation briefly. My mom's tone immediately brightened. She asked cautiously, "Mona, what do you think?" I felt confused. Gideon makes me uncomfortable, but my roommates use cheap skincare, so spending $2,000 seems excessive. Mom advised, "Sweetie, every family is different. We can afford that, and it's reasonable for us. We don't need you to scrimp and save for the future." I remembered my investments and company dividends. $2,000 was normal for me. Mom added, "Your dad and I work hard, so you don't have to suffer financially." I was touched and said goodbye to Mom before calling my best friend. She laughed and said, "Are you out of your mind? Or is your vision clouded? How did you end up with such a boyfriend? First, you didn't spend his money. Second, you didn't overspend or use a credit card. It's a luxury for him, but not for you. Why doesn't he tell Elon Musk to stop flying first class and save money? It's only because you're his girlfriend." Gideon denied it without blinking. "I didn't take her stuff. Don't accuse me." I almost laughed with anger and played the call recording. Gideon continued to argue with the police, looking increasingly annoyed. I said I didn't take it. How would a man get into a women's dorm? Another identical voice piped up, "Yeah, I took it." I couldn't reason with her. "You seriously think you're a good girlfriend? You're not considerate at all. Gloria from your dorm is way better." The police gave Gideon a look that said it all. His face turned beet red, and he lunged for my phone, yelling, "You bitch!" Recording me. I quickly ducked behind the police as they sternly told him, "Don't touch her. Stand back." The two officers restrained Gideon and gave him a serious talking to. Gideon still didn't see what he did wrong. "She's my girlfriend. What's wrong with me taking her stuff? If she didn't buy such expensive stuff, I wouldn't have taken it," Gideon argued. "I'm doing this for her good." One of the officers raised his voice. "Being her boyfriend doesn't give you the right to take her stuff. She could even sue you. And she didn't spend your money, so why are you so worked up?" Gideon's eyes widened with fury, but he had nothing to say. The officer sighed deeply and asked how I wanted to handle it. I laid it out plainly: either return the stuff within an hour or give me the money. The police urged Gideon to return the skincare. Gideon hesitated before admitting, "It's already been sold." "Then give her the money," Gideon stammered, eventually confessing, "I used the money." He sold my La Mer and bought himself a new computer. I remembered how he had sworn up and down that he was saving the money for me. It was utterly laughable. I smirked, and Gideon glared at me. "You're really making a big deal over this money? Look at that. He stole, and somehow, it's my fault." I showed him the phone recording and succinctly said, "Pay me back. Or should I let your friends hear this too?" Gideon glared at me, but silent, dialed for a loan. He's quite popular, so he borrowed the money quickly. As soon as the $2,000 arrived, I placed a new order for La Mer right in front of Gideon. Gideon, looking grim, said ominously, "You'll regret this." I ducked behind the police and reported, "Officers, he's threatening me." Gideon got a serious lecture from the police. I stood behind them, meeting his angry gaze, and silently said, "Bring it on. Baby, your family must give you a lot of money each month. To keep you from wasting it, why don't you put your living expenses with me, and we'll save together?" He added, "If you need to buy something, just ask me." I was instantly repelled. Why should I give him my money? Live under his control, having to beg for every dollar? I pushed his arm away and firmly said, "I can save my own money. I don't need you to do it for me." Gideon angrily retorted, "If you can save money, why are you buying $2,000 skincare? Have you thought about our future?" I snapped back, "I didn't spend your money. It's none of your business." Gideon said meaningfully, "Looks like you don't trust me." I walked away, ignoring him. But suddenly, I heard footsteps rapidly approaching from behind. I turned around, but it was too late. I was lifted off the ground. Gideon had me over the edge of the bridge, with no support but him. If he let go, I'd fall into the lake. And I can't swim. His malicious delight was clear in his eyes. I could barely speak through my fear. Let me down." Gideon kept pretending to let go, scaring me. Passers-by thought we were just a couple having a playful fight and avoided us. When I was in tears from fear, he finally set me down. He was pleased with my reaction, smiling, "Now you know I'm the only one you can rely on, right?" I swung my arm and slapped him hard. The smack echoed. Gideon looked stunned, and before he could react, I ran away. Back in the dorm, I felt a rising sense of dread. I shouldn't have been impulsive. If this triggered the worst in Gideon, it could be disastrous. My roommate Selena noticed my distress and asked what happened. I gave a brief explanation, omitting the part about Gideon lifting me off the bridge. Selena, who rarely criticizes, said, "That's pretty over the top." Gloria, who had been silent, suddenly chimed in, "As long as two people really love each other, combining finances isn't a problem." She looked at me meaningfully. "If you truly love someone, you wouldn't worry about money." I realized she was hinting that Gideon had probably been getting information from someone in the dorm. I didn't want to argue with her, so I simply agreed, "You're right." Gloria punched the air and laughed. "Your boyfriend's right too. Living expenses should be managed together." She winked and continued, "But it's best if you can save money independently, instead of asking him to control everything." I was so relieved. I'd escaped Gideon's manipulation, But it was awkward with Gloria. I couldn't be bothered to argue with idiots, so I just agreed with her. You're right. Gloria threw a punch at the cotton stuffing, and when she saw neither Selena nor I was paying her any attention, she stormed out with a face full of frustration. Gideon didn't come looking for me, and I didn't bother with him either. I was actually hoping for a reason to break up, but when I returned to the dorm on Monday, my unopened La Mer was gone. In its place was a bottle of plain old DeBeo cream. I immediately called Gideon. Gideon, did you take my La Mer from the closet? Gideon, sounding like a child caught with his hand in the cookie jar, said, Yeah, I took it. I couldn't reason with you. Seriously, where do you find a girlfriend like you? You're not considerate at all, and you don't think about your boyfriend. Gloria from your dorm is way better than you. I sneered and cut straight to the point. Where's my stuff? Don't even think about using it. I've already sold it, and the money is with me. I'm keeping it safe for you. I was disgusted and speechless. You do know taking things without asking is called theft, right? I'm giving you 2 hours to return my stuff, or I'll call the cops. Gideon flipped out. Can you stop making such a big deal? Why are you always so extra? If you didn't buy such expensive skincare, I wouldn't have taken your stuff. I'm actually saving you money. Don't you see? Oh, so now it's my fault he stole from me? I refused to argue with a fool, hung up, and called the police. Hello, I'd like to report a theft. I have something worth $2,000 stolen. When the police showed up, Gideon realized I wasn't kidding. He incredulously asked, Seriously? You're calling the cops over a skincare product? I answered firmly, yes. The police advised him, if you've taken your girlfriend's stuff, just return it. Don't make things worse between you two.
To be continued, 500 likes and I'll drop the next chapter as soon as possible.